Well, the gospel goes on, and Peter kind of passes a little bit off the scene, and we start meeting Paul. And in chapter 9, you have the conversion of Paul. And look at verse 5. Who are you, Lord? So Paul calls out to whoever is blinding him and calls him Lord. And the Lord said, I am Jesus whom you're persecuting. It's hard for you to kick against the pricks. So look at verse 6. So trembling and astonished, he said, Lord, what do you want me to do? Now that's kind of a strange gospel presentation. You don't see much meat in there, but the blessing is Paul repeats this in chapter 21 and chapter 26, and it's one of the most beautiful stories of conversion. And what he said is that Christ said, I want to open your eyes. I want to turn you from darkness to light. I want to forgive your sins. I want you to become sanctified. I want to change your life. That's what Paul said, but it's not here. But it's how he got saved. And basically, salvation is wanting Jesus. He says, Jesus, what do you want me to do? It's coming to Christ as the Lord to obey. And the next gospel presentation is in chapter 10. And we're going to get through at least half of these. Look at chapter 10 and verse 35. It says in 35 and especially in 36 and then down in 43, it says, in every nation, whoever fears him and works righteousness is accepted by him. God sees inside of us. The word which God sent to the children of Israel, preaching peace through Jesus Christ. So salvation involves peace. Verse 8, God anointed him with power, and he hung on the tree, verse 39. And then look at verse 43. To him all the prophets witness that through his name, whoever believes in him will receive remission of sins. What is salvation? Knowing the peace of all sins being gone. I was telling this story at lunch with one of the couples we were sitting with, their family, of a martial arts expert. When I first started out in the ministry in New England, this guy burst in my office one day. I mean, he actually pushed the door open with my secretary standing in front of it, and he pushed into the room. And he said, I want to talk to you. And I stood up from my desk, and I said, I want to talk to you. What's up? And my poor secretary was scared to death, because he just wouldn't take no for an answer. And he said, I'm a 5th, 6th, 7th degree martial arts person, special forces. He said, I am a health nut, and he had about the most perfect Arnold Schwarzenegger, because he was only wearing his jogging shorts, and he just looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger, sweating and pushing the secretary in, and I said, okay, I'm ready. What do you want to talk about? He said, I have everything in life I want. He says, I go to the bar every night. He said, I pick the prettiest girl. I sit next to her so her boyfriend will fight me. I knock him out, and I get the girl. He said, that's what I've done my whole life. And he says, when I walk through your parking lot, he said, I feel a peace in your parking lot that I've never felt in my life. And I want to know why everybody here has what I've always wanted. So I said, well, let me tell you about that. And so I was still standing behind my desk. My secretary was still holding him. And I said, it's okay. And I started reading what is called the Romans Road. And I started reading, all have sinned, fallen short of the glory of God, and Christ died for sinners. And I got halfway through, and I looked up, and he was gone. And I thought, he wouldn't even let me share the gospel with him. And then I looked over my Bible, and he was laying on the floor, face down, weeping, crying out to the Lord and saying, I'm a sinner, I'm a sinner. And he called on the name of the Lord right there on the carpet and was gloriously saved. You know what he told me salvation was? Knowing the peace of sins gone. You know the peace of sins gone. That's the gospel. You can't stop talking about that if you know it. Jesus said, to whom much is forgiven, the same loves much. Do you know why many people, like in the Laodicean church, didn't love the Lord? And why they lost their first love in the Ephesian church in Revelation 2? Because they didn't realize how much they were forgiven of. And that's what salvation is. And just